Welcome to today's Explainer. We're going to be diving into a genuinely fascinating paradigm shift happening right now in the world's largest democracy. We're talking about a profound change in how power is built and how it's challenged among nearly a billion voters. Indian politics is entering this historic, kind of silent transformation, and the driving force behind the whole shebang? Generation Z. So let's dive right in by contrasting the old-school political methods with our new reality. For decades, the undisputed currency of political influence in India was entirely physical. It was measured in massive street agitations, huge mass rallies, and those heated television debates. But look at what's happening today. Political influence is increasingly taking shape on mobile screens, social media timelines, YouTube discussions, memes, and hashtags. An ordinary citizen with a smartphone now has an unprecedented level of power to shape national narratives. Literally the kind of power that traditional TV channels used to hold all to themselves.
Section 1, the digital political awakening, how Gen Z shifts the paradigm.
We kind of have this tendency to stereotype Gen Z, right? We think they're entirely absorbed in reels, gaming, fashion, internet culture, basically dismissing them as politically indifferent. But actually, scratch that. That perception is completely being turned on its head. Take the Cockroach Janata Party, for example. Now, despite the slightly absurd name, it isn't a literal political organization you'd see on a ballot. Instead, it's emerged as this highly creative, super powerful symbol of a new digital political mobilization. When they get emotionally and politically triggered, this generation is reshaping public conversations across the entire country in literally a matter of hours. This isn't just some fleeting trend. It represents a deep psychological and democratic shift, proving that the youth of India absolutely can no longer be ignored. Section 2, filling the opposition vacuum, a warning signal to traditional politics. So why exactly is this digital takeover happening right now? Well, to understand that, we have to look at how traditional opposition parties are responding, or, in a lot of cases, failing to respond. Because governments currently dominate the electoral machinery, the media ecosystems, and the narrative-building tools, opposition parties often just end up looking weak, fragmented, or entirely disconnected from young voters. But as they say, in politics, a vacuum never remains empty. When conventional opposition weakens and fails to articulate what the public is frustrated about, society naturally just creates its own new platforms for dissent, and social media has organically evolved to become that exact alternative space. Just look at this number, millions. This represents the amount of people a single viral video, a meme, or a speech can influence overnight. It beautifully demonstrates this huge micro to macro shift, driven by decentralized digital speed. Previously, a political message had to slowly trickle down through newspapers and rigid party structures. Today, the absolute greatest strength of these digital movements is their sheer velocity and reach. It empowers the average citizen to instantly broadcast their voice to millions of people. Section 3, South India's Political Lab, testing credibility. To really ground this transformation and see how it works in action, we can look to South India. It's kind of acting as a real-world laboratory right now, where younger generations are explicitly rejecting the old rules of hereditary politics and personality cults. Take Tamil Nadu, for instance, a state long dominated by powerful dynasties and cinema-driven leadership. There, actor-turned-politician Vijay is currently viewed by many young people as an independent force with real ideological clarity, and that's generating massive digital enthusiasm. On the flip side, in Andhra Pradesh, Pawan Kalyan initially captured that exact same anti-establishment youth energy. But over time, his shifting alignments with various larger parties ended up creating a lot of confusion. The takeaway here is super clear. Gen Z doesn't just blindly celebrate celebrities anymore. They are deeply evaluating consistency, conviction, and whether a leader actually remains an independent alternative, or if they just become a follower within a larger alliance. Taking an objective look at the Lingana, we can clearly see the exact vacuum that exists, and honestly, the immense challenge of proving true autonomy. The source material points out that the once dominant regional powerhouse, the BRS party, is facing heavy criticism over dynastic politics and a real disconnect with the youth. Meanwhile, Congress is struggling to establish itself as an emotionally inspiring alternative. And the national powerhouse, the BJP, they lack a stable political language that really connects with the state's local social realities. In this kind of atmosphere, figures like Kalvakuntla Kavitha face a towering challenge. If she tries to build an independent identity, she absolutely must prove her ultimate credibility. Because if young voters perceive her as merely an extension of family politics, she's going to face the exact same limitations that weakened Pawan Kalyan's image. Moving on to Section 4, the double-edged digital sword, strengths and dangers.
Now, as enthusiastic as we might be about this whole digital democratization, we've got to step back and look at the big picture. We need to neutrally weigh both the systemic benefits and the profound dangers of this new reality. Because let's be real, it truly is a double-edged sword. On the positive side, the extraordinary strengths of these movements come down to the fact that they are completely decentralized. Think about it. Suppressing ideas entirely is way more difficult for a government now than controlling a traditional organization. They don't rely on a single leader. If authorities try to use laws or internet restrictions to silence one account, boom, 100 new voices instantly emerge to take its place. It's fast, it's incredibly emotionally powerful, and it democratizes participation in ways we've never seen before.
However, we definitely have to contrast those strengths with some very serious dangers. Quick emotional energy online doesn't automatically translate to institutional discipline. This digital space is practically a breeding ground for fake news, emotional manipulation, and algorithm-driven polarization that can actually end up weakening democratic discourse. And perhaps most importantly, viral popularity does not equal governance capability. Social media movements really struggle to sustain the long-term grassroots organizational depth that is absolutely required for real, lasting political transformation.
And finally, Section 5. The era of credibility, the future of democracy. We're literally witnessing a transition right now, where pure fan-based politics is finally giving way to authentic credibility. This timeline perfectly maps out the complete paradigm shift we've been talking about. In the past, politics was this exclusive club, dominated by powerful families and elite TV studios. Jump to the present day, and participation is vastly democratized across millions of smartphones. And looking ahead to the future, the focus shifts firmly toward tangible, everyday issues like unemployment, corruption, education, and governance failures. The bottom line is, once this level of political consciousness awakens, young Indians will no longer tolerate just being silent spectators. So what's the overarching lesson from our source material today? Well, online trends are going to fade. Certain hashtags will be completely forgotten. Social media accounts may even disappear entirely. But true, lasting political transformation, that still requires deep, sustained public engagement. It absolutely demands ideological clarity, real organizational depth, and most importantly, unshakable public trust. The age of pure spectacle is weakening, and an era where consistency matters way more than catchy slogans is steadily taking its place. Let's wrap up this explainer by leaving you with the exact, provocative question Gen Z is now relentlessly demanding of its leaders. It's no longer enough to just ask, who are you against? The real question, the one challenging us all to reconsider the future of democracy worldwide, is, what do you truly stand for? Think about that as you're scrolling through your feeds today. Thanks so much for joining me for this explainer, and remember to keep questioning the narratives around you.